So even though I'm on a no-buy, I did buy a whole bunch of stuff this last month. And while it wasn't on my no-buy, part of me is wondering, is this my outlet? Let's talk about it. Hi everybody, today I am going to be going over my February for my 2023 no-buy. For those of you who have not been following along, I am on a no-buy for the entirety of 2023 in 3 categories. Stationery, which includes planner shit and art supplies and all that. Beauty, which also includes skincare, and then food delivery. I will link down below the original video of this as well as my playlist with everything that I've talked about so far this year. So February has been an interesting month in this house. I am a end-stage renal disease patient. I have polycystic kidney disease and I'm in kidney failure, and we are doing home hemodialysis, and we brought it home in February. We finished up training that first week of like January, February, and then brought it home as of I think the 6th. And it has been a process. It has been very much a learning process. There are days where I'm like, fuck yeah, it's going great. And there's other days like today actually where I wound up being in bed for longer than I expected because I am indeed still in kidney failure. This has kind of had 2 sort of impacts on my no-buy. First of all, I'm in the dialysis chair for about 3-4 hours, 5 days a week. I can only use one hand. There is only a little bit of work I can do. I've played a lot of Plants vs. Zombie, and I have done a lot of online browsing. Not maybe shopping, but browsing. So that is a big piece of my kind of worry, and something I really want to focus on is that I now have a lot of time where that's really all I can do, unless I figure other things out. So it's on my list. Any suggestions for things I can do one-handed while stuck in a dialysis chair, leave them in the comments below. I appreciate your thoughts. The other thing is that we've had to get a lot of shit to get dialysis going. And on top of that, because we've been trying to get the dialysis room looking cozy, which we have, I've also been really focusing on some other areas of the house to really kind of bring it all up to par, which meant I've been doing some shopping there as well. And that's okay. I specifically did not include home stuff in my no-buy this year because I knew that I was going to be wanting to get some art up on the walls and some other things since we've only been in this house about 1.5 years right now. But on that same note, part of me wonders if maybe I have transferred all of my like shopping energy into that realm, and maybe I'm shopping more than I would have if I was buying other shit that I'm not buying this year. I don't know. It's a whole thought process. I'll talk more about it later in the video when I talk about my takeaways. But really this month has been all about dialysis and about my house and making my house feel super cozy and not like a hospital. My urges to buy like planner shit and stationery shit and beauty shit has been kind of pushed down. So I don't know if I had great willpower this month or if I just was distracted with something else. Let's start getting into the categories. We will begin with the stationery realm, planner stuff, stationery, art supplies, that area. A big piece of what could have tempted me this month with new releases from like my favorite sticker shops and everything else, a lot of cute stuff came out. It was all Go Wild related, and I'm not going to Go Wild, which is on its own, it's a whole other process. I could talk about that, but like because of dialysis, it's the first year I have not gone, and it's the first year I haven't been on stage. I've been on stage at every Go Wild before this year. It's basically a huge amount of FOMO, and so I was feeling so bummed about not going that I really wasn't interested in any of the shit I was seeing come through my feed, which is great because that meant that I didn't have a lot of temptation. The other aspect of this category this month was that because I've been focused so much on dialysis, I haven't spent a lot of time in my studio this month. I spent more time in it when I was training than when I was doing it here at home, because for some reason the bringing it home has really taken out of me both physically and mentally, whereas with training it was much more physically than mentally, I think, for a lot of it. And so I wasn't down there as much, so I didn't use my stuff as much as I wanted to. And I didn't make as much progress with my creative practice as I wanted to, but I can't really get mad at myself for that because honestly, like, I had other priorities this month. I did, however, use at least one thing up. We'll talk about that when we get to the empties. To check in with my work budget, which we'll go over towards the end of the video. If you remember, in January, I bought that Moterm cover for my work planner and I needed to make a video on it. I will leave it linked down below. My work planner setup for March also includes my thoughts on the Moterm cover. Spoiler alert, I really like it. I didn't want to do a dedicated video for it because I'm not super well versed in that sort of cover. It's just really not my style of thing to use. And I just wanted to give some overall thoughts without being like super detailed. So it's within another video, but that counts. So did not break my no-buy. Rock and roll. One thing that did happen this month as a result of going through all my shit back in January is that I took some more, I wouldn't say chances, not really that, but I did try some different things, break out of my comfort zone a little bit a few times this month in my planner. I did some different styles. I think I did one with a bunch of like the tiny like emoji style stickers from like Once More with Love and Coffee Monsters Co. And that was a lot of fun. So I am looking forward to doing that in the next month. If you go and you watch the live plan with me from this past weekend, so it hasn't happened when I'm filming this, but I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go for a really bold, like red and black color theme that's not my usual style because it's my son's birthday week and those are his favorite colors. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about trying different things, and I think it's because I'm using up the shit I already have. I did use one thing up. My only empty for planner stuff is this Fern Creek stickers sticker sheet. I can't remember if I used this in a like plan with me with the original kit or if this was me reusing a kit, but either way I went through a whole sheet. So I just want to celebrate that fact for myself because using up a whole sheet of stickers when you have 8 million sheets of stickers feels like progress. Let's move to the beauty realm. It's beauty, skincare, hair care, those sorts of things. I did buy one thing this month that was not something I had a previous category for. It was something that is new to my routine. You'll actually see it in my morning routine video that's coming out later this week where I talk about how my morning routine has changed because of dialysis, but I wanted something, I don't like splashing my face with water. I don't like washing my face at the sink. I prefer to do it in the shower. I will do it at the sink if I'm not taking a shower, but I really hate it. I hate getting water everywhere. I hate the sloppiness of it. It just really bothers me. And I've never been able to be like suave enough at it to like splash my face and not feel like I just sat in like the fucking splash zone at SeaWorld or something. What I wanted was something that I could kind of lightly mist my face with just water and then move on with my morning until I go and get in the shower just to wake me up. And so I decided to go, I actually had some Ulta credits, so I really only spent like a couple bucks, but I went and bought like one of those Evian mists for my face. We'll see, because I want to use my toner. My toner is pricey, and if I'm just using it to wake my face up, it doesn't really feel like a good use of it. So we'll see if this works. It could be totally useless, but that's the one thing I did buy, and because it wasn't part of my previous routine, I didn't have like a previous category for it, I didn't feel like it was breaking my no-buy. Another thing that happened in February, Sunny and I went to the mall and spent just like a day hanging out. It was a lot of fun, and we did not even bother going into Sephora. I was like, I have nothing I need to buy. I'm just gonna walk past Sephora. I'm just gonna walk past, and I did. Go me. We did go to Bath & Body Works, but all I bought there was some wallflowers, which was the whole reason I went in there in the first place. So I'm very proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for walking past Ulta, Sephora. I walked past the Kiehl store, Lush, all of these stores where I could easily buy a bunch of shit beauty-wise to add to my collection of things I don't use. And I didn't, and that was a big deal for me. So the only actual beauty stuff besides that Evian water that I bought this month was to replace things that I had used up. So we'll go through my empties. You can see, first and foremost, I used up this CeraVe Hydrating Facial Cleanser. Now I do like this. However, I was at a point where I just wanted something different. I didn't want to use this again. And so I got the La Roche-Posay. It's like a foaming cleanser for like combination to oily skin. And I've been liking it so far, except that the foam goes right up my nose. Like, it's so gross. This is gonna sound so yucky, but like I have to like blow a snot rocket to get it out of my nose. It's the only way I can get it out of my nose in the shower, but sorry. I know that was gross. I'm really not that sorry. This works great. I just want to try something different. So that's what I'm doing right now. The next three things are all things that I used up and I just replaced with the same thing. First and foremost is my deodorant. This is the Necessaire deodorant gel. This is a non-antiperspirant. I wanted to try using something without aluminum because of my kidney failure. Now they have told me that deodorant really doesn't give you, unless you're using like the super hardcore deodorants or antiperspirants, the aluminum is really not something to worry about for kidney failure. But to be both, there were two things that kind of came up. One was the aluminum thing. I was still a little worried about that. And two, I was getting a lot of ingrown hairs in my armpits. And so I heard that using something like this, and it says eucalyptus in it, can help soothe that, and it did, and my armpits are actually feeling a lot better. I don't sweat that much, especially in the winter. I do get kind of smelly, so that's what this comes in handy for. This helps with that a lot. I've tried other natural deodorants that just make me smell like ass. So, yeah, I'm using this one. It is pricey, but it's worth it for me for the peace of mind. Side note, if you do use this, it does take a couple of weeks of getting your body to get used to it. So just know that. So I replaced this with a fresh one. My mascara, it ran out. This is the Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash Extensions. It's my favorite mascara. I replaced it with another one of these. And this is one of those few things that I will order more than one at once, even with my no-buy, because you can get a discount if you buy them. And since I know that I go through this and I know that I'm just gonna replace it with the same thing, I will stock up when I do order it just to save on the cost of it. I don't consider that breaking my no-buy because I have tried a different mascara. I was using one up that I had happened to have, and I was like, why the fuck am I doing that? I found one I like. I'm just gonna stick with it. And then finally, I used up my travel size Supergoop Glow Screen, which is my favorite sunscreen to use, and I replaced it with a full-size one. Now, I heard that e.l.f. has a dupe for this exact thing, the Glow Screen from Supergoop. I can't even say it. Supergoop. Supergoop. I wasn't able to find it when it came time to replace this, so I'm gonna keep my eyes out, and if I see it, I'm gonna snag it to replace my next one, just to see if I like it better, but I'm not gonna use it until I run out. That's all of my beauty products for the month. This category seems to be the one that I'm the least tempted by. One of my parts of my no-buy is to not avoid things. I want to learn to exist with things in the world and like be able to go into Sephora and not worry about spending on shit. Like I don't want to have to avoid everything that I could possibly be tempted by, because that's just not the way I want to live my life. However, avoiding going in there when I don't need to go in there, like not going just to browse, seems to be kind of helping. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. The next category is food delivery, and I've got some ups and I've got some downs this month. Ups, I didn't really order any delivery for myself. I unsubscribed from DoorDash Premium or DoorDash, whatever the fuck it is, whatever the DoorDash, you know, the fancy DoorDash, whatever that one is. I unsubscribed from that, so I'm not paying for that anymore. I did not delete the app off my phone because if I want to get takeout, a lot of these restaurants only do takeout through an app like DoorDash. And I did pick up takeout a few times. I think I overestimated how much energy I would have to cook this month, and so we did have to rely on takeout a little bit more than I wanted to. But again, we're adjusting to dialysis, so I don't feel too bad about that, except for the fact that probably more salt than I was supposed to have. There were also a couple of times where I convinced Jesse not to use DoorDash. He was going to DoorDash himself some lunch, and we were sitting there and I was on dialysis and I wasn't going to be eating, but he was like, I'm going to DoorDash something. I'm like, we have blah, blah, blah in the freezer that I just bought. And he's like, oh, I'll have that. That happened a couple times. I was kind of proud of that. I did promise myself I wouldn't like harass the family into changing their habits, that this was about me and not about them, but that felt good. There were a couple of low points though. We did get delivery a couple of times. Jesse ordered it. Again, I chalked this up to dialysis on the days where I was just too burned out and too exhausted to cook. And Jesse himself is also trying to adjust to working with doing dialysis in the background. So he was also burned out and exhausted. And RJ did cook for us once. Sunny cooked for us a couple of times, but there were a couple of times we had to lean on delivery because neither of us had it in us to go pick up food. But he ordered it, I didn't, so technically that doesn't count. I think one of the solutions to this, besides really adapting to having dialysis at home, is for me to really work on being more honest up front. It's not that I'm lying, but I'm just not really being forthright with how I'm feeling earlier in the day, so that by the time I do say something, it's too late to figure out anything besides just getting some delivery or picking up takeout. That's something I need to work on, as well as like adjusting to things around here. And like, to be real, like I don't feel guilty for getting some takeout. We really have had a roller coaster of a month, and it just, there's only so much you can expect out of people, I think. Now let's talk about my work budget. I did buy one thing this month, so I want to, for accountability's sake, talk about it and get this as like my starting point for the 2 months out to make a video on it or include it in a video. So my work budget each month is $100, and that is to purchase items for review or to use on the channel. Now this doesn't count things like needing to buy, like I did buy like a new webcam because my old one bit the dust, and like, things like for my functional business, but I'm really referring to things that I'm trying to decide, do I want to buy it because I want it or do I want to buy it to show on the channel? That's a line I've been trying to not cross or to like tow very gently. And so those are the items that I included in my budget. There's one item, and this is an item I actually had planned on purchasing last year, but it didn't release until February. I thought it was going to release earlier than that, so I knew I wanted to get it. And when it came out, I was like, I'm going to get it and just put it in my work budget. And then it sold out. And then I was like, well, okay, I guess I'm not spending my work budget this month. And then it came back and I bought it. So for my $100, it was $25.81. So the total is $74.19 for the month of leftover money. And the item is the Blooms brush from Jenna Rainey and Princeton paintbrushes. It is a size 12 filbert brush, and I have been wanting a filbert brush like that, so I was really excited to get it. I don't do a lot of like on their own painting videos on this channel. It's just not something I tend to focus on. I do a lot more of that on Patreon, but it will likely show up in a vlog sometime this month as I experiment with it, and I will be sure to give you my thoughts when it does. But yeah, I will leave it linked below if you're curious about it, but like I said, it sold out the first time around, and when I bought it on the second time, I have it now. I really like it. And I'm excited to use it. I don't feel bad for buying it, and I will talk about it more as time goes on. Let's wrap this video up with some of my takeaways from February to help me move forward, not only in not buying things, but in the learning process I'm trying to get out of this, because that's really what this is. It's not just about saving money. It's also about like retraining my habits and reorienting myself in this consumerist world to not be so buy, spend, Bye, bye, bye. I'd be dancing right now because I'm sitting down and my kidneys hurt. Okay, first takeaway. I talked about this at the beginning of the video. I did a lot of shopping this month. It was all home stuff and kitchen shit. It was stuff for the dialysis room. It was stuff for the walls of my house. It was stuff for my kitchen. I bought a lot of things. I also received a lot of things because people bought things off of my wish list, my Amazon wish list for my kidney dialysis room, and I'm so grateful to all of you for that. I'm wondering if a lot of my bye energy is being directed in that way, and that's why I didn't feel as tempted between that and all the go wild stuff that I was trying to avoid. Like I still had that purchasing energy, it just got funneled into a different direction. I don't know. It's something I really want to keep my eye out for. It's something that I worry could be masking any improvements I might be making by just redirecting it. I'm not sure. And I'm also wondering, like, now that my dialysis room is pretty much set up, and I'm still getting some things for the walls of my house, but like I'm wondering if some of that big dialysis purchase energy is going to be going into like, because I found myself now really eyeballing sweaters. We're still in winter here. It's probably not gonna be spring Colorado until like May. Like I'm wondering if clothing is gonna be my new thing or what. Like I'm wondering if I might need to implement like month-long no buys of some of these other categories throughout the year to really have to confront this purchasing energy rather than redirecting it. On that same note though, my second takeaway is that I do think some of this no buy vibe, this no buy energy is starting to come out in some aspects of my life where I have been purchasing stuff. There were a couple of things I wanted to buy in this last month that I was like, do I really need that? Do I have something I could use that's just as fine, just as good? Twice. That I specifically remember. With how like purchase happy I was when it came to kitchen shit and how shit this month, it actually surprises me that I managed to like not buy these things. One was a tote bag. I have so many fucking bags, you guys. And I wanted a tote bag so I could have something to bring my binder and my saran wrap. Don't worry about it. And all of my other shit I have to bring with me to my clinic appointments. I wanted to buy a tote bag. And I was like, Sid, you have fucking tote bags. So I pulled one out of my closet and that's what I used and I didn't buy one. The second thing was a gooseneck kettle. I am really into teas and matcha right now and I love the idea of like an aesthetic pour, but I have a fucking electric kettle that also has temperature controls, that boils water really fast, that has a bigger capacity than a gooseneck kettle. So in the summer when I make iced tea, I have plenty of room. Like it works just fine. It's just not as pretty, but I managed to not buy that either. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel. And overall, with that, both of these takeaways, I think one of the biggest pieces is to think, okay, this no buy is impacting me in both positive and negative ways, and I need to keep an eye on that. And then my third and final takeaway, and this is a really big one, and it's something I kind of mentioned already, but I've been stress shopping, scrolling a lot. Like I am so just overwhelmed with dialysis and overwhelmed with how I'm feeling and everything else. I used to be a doom scroller of politics and of what's going on in the world, but I am so stressed out, and my health is so precarious right now that I have had to avoid doom scrolling. And so what I wind up doing is I'll read some like fun like articles, but sooner or later it turns into me stress scrolling shopping and decorating and all of those things. A lot of it happens when I'm stuck in the dialysis chair. A lot of it happens when I'm not feeling good and I'm laying down. It's a way that I'm using to kind of soothe or at least ignore my anxiety. I have therapy. We're working on it there. What I need to really think about is what habit can I use to replace that? What can I start to incorporate? I think reading might be that. I love reading, but I haven't read that much lately because I've just been too stressed to read. Like, it's a thing, I guess. I have that Jeanette McCurdy book, the one I'm Glad My Mom Is Dead. I have that book. I have a couple of books on the Donner Party. Like, I've got some books. I've got like books that are waiting for me. Maybe I should try that. I don't know. We shall see. It's been a big piece and something that I'm trying really hard to watch out for. And it's also making me really confront like the soothingness of online shopping. That is a big coping mechanism for me. And I don't want it to be a coping mechanism for me. So how do I change that? Food for thought. So that is my update for February. Like I said, lots of ups and downs, but ultimately I kept my no-buy and I am in the process of figuring out life with dialysis. So it's going okay. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Are you on a no-buy? Are you on a low buy? Are you trying to avoid things? Have you had any successes? Have you had any hard times? Give me your updates in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, my friends, peace.